Welcome, adventurers! Whether you're a seasoned Runescape player or just starting out, customizing your interfaces on this game can make your journey a whole lot smoother and more fun. Today, we'll cover 5 essential interface tips, which include adding interfaces, moving and resizing windows, extra action bars, advanced customizations, and saving your presets for future use. Let's get started. We want to start off with a blank slate. So to do this, we're going to press escape on our keyboards, and we're going to navigate to the section where it says load layout, and I want everyone to load the default layout. So your interfaces should look something similar to mine. They're going to probably either be locked or unlocked. Mine right now are unlocked, indicated by there's no X, and then also on my ribbon bar, this little lock button says customizations are disabled. So what we're going to do is we're going to press on this ribbon bar to unlock our interfaces. Now we see anything that has with a header is now brown, indicating that the customizations are unlocked. And if I click and drag this interface, it will essentially follow my mouse, right? So I can move my backpack anywhere on my screen that I want to scrunch it down a little bit so that I could see everything on one without having to scroll. And we'll have it just like this. And then the action bar that I have here, this can also be clicked and dragged around. One of the things about our action bars is that we can click a very specific corner and we could adjust it. So if I click it like this, I can have it displayed like this. I can have it long ways like this. I can have it going pretty much like one of like 3 ways. Super long like this, up and down like this, or long ways like this. I'll have it like this, and I'm going to click and drag this to be right here flush with the all chat and the backpack. Now let's just say, you know, your backpack, you accidentally click it or something happens to it. You can go right to this ribbon bar here. This ribbon bar has every single interface that can be shown. It's just most of them are essentially hidden by default. You just have to go into each individual section here and find them. So if I want to add in my magic book, I can add that here. If I want to add my backpack back, it will display it over here because the interfaces have something called memory. So if I get rid of them, let's say I move my backpack over here, I'll move my skills here, and I'll move my worn equipment interface here. If I close all 3 of these and then go back to the ribbon bar and open them back up, they will display exactly where they were closed out on. So just keep that in mind when you're customizing your interfaces. You know, this is something that you want to keep in mind. It might be better to open everything up first, such as mainly things that you're going to be using, right? You know, friends list is probably something that's really big, so I'd like to keep that one relatively close. Same thing for my clan chat. If you're in a clan, on this account, I'm not in a clan. However, I still want to see who's available in my clan, who's online. Same thing for your friends chat. You want to, connect to different friends chats as you play the game because there are certain distractions and diversions that you might want to participate in. However, they only have friends chats for players who do them. Things like that. You know, you want to have your range ability shown, you want to have your magic ability shown, you want to have your summoning familiars, your defense abilities. Let's say you want the whole 9 yards of everything. You know, you just put everything here. That way on this particular menu right here that we're clicking and dragging is for our combat abilities. And you can probably get this somewhere relatively close. You can also drag abilities from this section here to your action bar. Right now I have something called Revolution enabled, which does the abilities for me, indicated by the yellow box. So let's say you have an ability that you don't want your action bar to do for you, such as maybe like telekinetic grab, even though it'll do combat abilities for you, right? Telekinetic grab, I can grab and move it over here. Let's just say I want to move my teleports over here. I can do it like so. If you ever wanted to adjust your keybinds at all, you can right click an icon, do customize, and let's say you want to move your Lumbridge teleport to be the Alt L. You know, so you want to have the Falador one to be Alt F, So when you do Alt F or Alt L, you'll teleport to either Lumbridge or Falador. You can have them do it just like that. So now that we know how to add different add additional interfaces in, I want to talk about resizing interfaces as well. So interfaces that are things like your mini map, these things can be adjusted to make them bigger. Let's say you want to have your mini map looking like this. You could literally do it any way you want. I don't have a mini map looking like that, but you know, everybody has their interfaces differently depending on what size screen that you're playing on. So you can adjust these things depending on what your needs are, what kind of monitor you're playing on. Maybe you're playing on like a 15-inch monitor, you got to have things a little bit smaller. But you can certainly adjust interfaces to fit them into certain quadrants. So say you want your friends list to be long, either like this, super long, and then you can click on this arrow to move between different tabs that you have in this menu here. So I'll have my friends chat looking like this, and then I'll move my time up here just so I'm not bothered by it, and I'll readjust my mini map here. And let's just say you wanted to also like adjust like your skills menu here. You can literally drag this up in longular. I'm not saying you would ever want this, but you kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to say. You know, things could be adjusted. You could size this up so you know you could see all the chat that comes in here. Not that you ever need it to be like that, but it's just something that you could do. At a certain point in your RuneScape journey, you're going to probably start to notice that your action bar isn't, or it can't fit anything else. So you want to have extra keybinds, you want to have an extra row. The game does allow you to do this. However, we are limited to 5 total action bars. So this is one of them. We can add 4 additional ones. To do that, we'll press escape on our keyboard, go to settings, we'll go to gameplay, and we'll go to combat and action bar. We'll go to the action bar section here, and we can display the additional action bars. So we want 2, we want 3, we want 2 on action bar 3, we want the 3rd one, action bar 4, we want the 4th one, and action bar 5, you want the 5th one. So my action bars were already kind of configured, but let's say you want to add extra abilities in. You can click and drag from whatever your combat abilities are. You can also add in the home teleport into it as well. So if you click and drag you click on this first, and then just say you want to add Varrock, which is the lodestone teleport, to your action bar. Click and drag this down here. So now when you click on this, it will automatically perform the Varrock teleport for you. But my recommendation is when you set up your action bars in your menu, is that you come back here and you give them a name for each one. So action bar 1, we know is going to be essentially the second action bar, which is here. We're going to reserve this one for magic thresholds. Action bar 3, we would reserve for strictly defense abilities. Or let's say we want to keybind a option for us to eat food. Defense is right here. Action bar 3. That one. The action bar preset 3. We want this one to be for our teleports. Put this one to teleports. So we see action bar, the additional action bar 2, which is number 3, is this guy here. That's for teleports. Action bar 4. Let's just say you want it to be something super silly. Let's say you want it to be. You want it to be utility, some reason, and then your action bar number 5. You want this to be, I don't know. You can literally make it anything you want. You want it to be like mini game. So now when you're selecting it on here, you can right click, change it to be what you want, and you'll automatically know what it identifies as. So teleport, utility, mini game, you can click, let's say number 2, you want it to be action bar 5, it'll change that. Action bar 3, you want it to be teleports, even though it already is. Action bar 4, yada yada yada. So we'll fix our action bars a little bit. So you know, we were trying this a little bit earlier, but you could drag things between action bars. So let's just say you want it to be teleport over here and then teleport over here. You can also click and drag your interfaces around. So if you want this to be longular, like the main action bar, you'll click the corner like right here, and then you'll make it long, and then you'll just move it up here. Same thing for this one here, which will be number 2. Make it long first, drag it here. This one should be action bar number 4. So we'll click it here, get rid of that. We'll make it long. I guess first we got to move it up first so it has room to breathe. That there. And then the 5th one, we'll display it like so. So we'll make everything kind of be super flush. So we'll kind of send everything down a little bit. And then we'll move this up. Okay, that's actually perfect. Let's just say you think your icons are too big. Maybe you can't see them down here. Maybe they're too blurry. You can press escape on your keyboard or the settings button, hit settings, go to graphics, and then your interface scaling might be really high. You can change it to 100% to make them even smaller. Or if you're super blind, or maybe you have a vision impairment, increase them to 175, and then they look a little bit bigger. For the rest of this video, I'm going to keep it at 120, how we were before. And we're going to get into the advanced interfaces here. Let's just say you want to customize other things, right? Like this game could go really, really, really detailed when it comes to customizing your interfaces. So if you press escape on your keyboard, you want to do edit layout mode, advanced settings. And this menu might look a little bit confusing at first, but the best description I can give you is whatever's checked is what you're going to be able to see that allows you to move it. So just to make things easy, I will uncheck everything. And let's say you want to change the game view. You'll press on game view. You notice how at the top, this section here, which is the interface for the game view itself, is now modifiable. I will move my ribbon bar out of the way because I want to drag it from down here in the corner. And I can click and drag this up to be right here. And now if I uncheck game view, you can see in the background here, this is how my game will look once I save my settings. So since it's still like this, I will use this opportunity to drag the game view down a little bit more so that it's flush with the skills menu. And I'll move my action bar up just a little bit. I'll try to. If I can't, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just leave it like this. My magic skills, my abilities over here, I'll shrink them so that they're flush with the game view, and I'll drag them down a little bit. And let's just say I want to drag out my worn equipment interface, have it over here on the side. I can do this. If I want to move my magic over here actually and have all my abilities to be over here, I can do this. My friends chat, I can move that to be down here. And you can kind of see what I'm really going for here. Now there are other things in this interface that are really helpful. You can adjust your bank view. Let's say you don't want your bank to protrude down where your action bar and your worn equipment interface are. Let's drag it up here in the middle. Your buff bar and then your debuff bar. These are some two that I believe that are going to be stuck in the way here. So I suggest moving them possibly above your action bar to be, let's just say right here, so that when you do have an actual buff or a debuff on you, you can actually control, you can actually see those relatively easy since they're right above your action bar where your health and then your prayer points are. And when you uncheck them and check them back, they're still there. It's just they're not being shown in the view here for us to edit. Your extra game button, I believe this should also be somewhere relatively easy that you can click on. So I'll move this above the worn equipment interface. Events, you can leave that up there. I think everything else should be relatively perfect. I like to move the XP pop-up, maybe be somewhere over here on the right side or somewhere in the middle of the screen, somewhere where it's not going to bother you too much. And then also there's one more thing that you would probably want to change to, probably the game dialogue. I don't like where it is by default, but you can maybe move it to be in the middle of the screen, maybe over your buff bars. You can just have it be like in the far right corner over here. Your def status can be changed as well. However, we're just going to go back and we're going to make sure that we save this preset, because if we don't save it, then we'll never get it back. So make sure it's saved. Make sure it says layout successfully saved. It's custom 2, meaning that if I press close, or sorry, if I press save and exit first, and let's say something happens where I lose my presets and I'm go back to default, like, oh no, what do I do? Everything's all messed up. I can go to load default, custom 2, and this is literally what I just made. So another thing I want to talk about when it comes to customizing the interfaces is the ribbon bar. Let's say you're the kind of RuneScape player who, you don't want to see things when you're PVMing. So let me get an interface configured correctly and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so this is an example of what I'm showing you guys. If you want to like a truly like minimalist interface, this is how you can accomplish it. If you use your ribbon bar here, you can adjust the layout, the mode that it's on. You can 100% customize this to your liking. So let's just say I want to clear everything. However, I want to be able to turn everything off that's here. However, if I ever want to bring them back up quickly, I can do that. So I'll add in my backpack, which is here. I'll add in my worn equipment over here. I'll add in magic, range, summoning, defense and hit points, and then also the melee abilities. And then I'll add in my friends chat, or sorry, my friends list, my clan chat, and then my friends chat. So this bar here, I'll resize this so that I can see everything correctly, and then I'll drag this, let's say here. So if I click on my backpack, that goes away. My equipment interface, that goes away. Magic, that goes away. Range is away. Summoning is away. Defense, that damn, boom, boom, boom. But not everything is gone. So this is another way that you can have your interfaces. If you're someone who values like an on-screen type of experience, you can just have your backpack show like this. Worn display, magic comes up like so, ranged abilities like this. So you could kind of really customize this however you want, because in the ribbon bar you have all these other options here that we haven't even really gone over. So you want your music player to show, oh bro, we got you. But now notice how I don't see it. I just added it. It's because it ran out of space. So I need to unlock my interfaces and then make it a little bit longer. Now I can see it. So this does have a size limit depending on how big you have your bar, and you can always expand it to show more. So there's just a couple different ways how you can play the game. Your minimap is something that's always there. Unfortunately, you can't remove it, but this is the cleanest that you can get it if you really want to see everything that's happening on your screen at once. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and comment below of any constructive criticisms that you have. If you think anything I could have done better, let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.